Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Pesachim Nun Gimel. We are 7 lines from the top of the Amid. It says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Brayso, going back to beer, which allows a person to eat the shvius, peros, yerokos, as long as there's some crop available out there for the animals. Says the Brayso, Tanu Rabbanan, Oichlen ba'anavim. Until what point can you eat grapes on shvius? Until there's nothing remaining out there. Rashi has a girsa shel avel. So one may eat until the supply of grapes have been completely depleted. There are no more dolios, the vines which are draped over poles. In the town of Eichel, apparently that was the place which had vines and grapes available, the latest in that whole district, so you can eat until there's no more in that area. If you happen to know that there are some areas that have grapes even after the supply in this place has been depleted, so you can go ahead and eat on account of the later supply. What about olives? You can eat until the last remaining olives get depleted from Tekoya, which was a place, as Rashi describes, which had an abundance of olives, and there was Shemen Zayis, plentiful over there, and on account of that, there were Chachamim there. Gemara says the person is Ragul b'Shemen Zayis, he has Chachma. So as long as there was some Zaysim available in Tekoya, one can continue eating Zaysim, relying on that. Rabbi Omer, he has a different town, Ashiyich la'achon shel Gush Cholav, the last ones in Gush Cholav have been depleted. So what's the latest you can eat? Until there's nothing left. But if there's just a bit left, not enough, that's also not considered. Kadeshi hey ani yoytze, it needs to be enough. The ani can go out and collect a reasonable amount. But if not, if he goes out and only finds a little bit, Kadeshi ani yoytze ve'enin moitze, he doesn't find much. He doesn't find loy benoifa v'loy b'yikorei, whether in the branches of the tree or down on the bottom around the trunk. He can't come up with roiva, a quarter of a kav of these olives. That's considered to be a depleted crop. Until what point can he have the dried figs? Until the pagim, these were the low grade, low quality figs that wouldn't really ripen and mature and develop fully. So until the page beishini were depleted, you can still have your figs, even though they're an inferior quality type of fig. That's still considered a fig, and you can eat relying on that. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, lo yehuzkuru page beishini. The concept of page beishini was not mentioned in this context. You cannot go ahead and rely on these low quality figs for your shvius consumption. It's considered like a different type, a different variety. So the only reason why it would be mentioned was only Elul Inyam Maser. When the Brayso, the Mishnah mentioned this variety, was only with regard to Maser, that it's Chayv Maser. This non Page Besini, Vahini Tuvina. Hini Tuvina are these low grade dates. We had yesterday the Zohar palm tree, which wouldn't produce proper, mature dates. So these low quality fruits, these Page Besini and the dates from Tuvina, Chayav Masa, despite the fact that they're inferior quality, they are still Chayav Masa. That's why we mention these things, but not with relation to Shvius. You can't go ahead and rely on these low grade products in order to consume your ordinary high quality figs. They're considered different variety, different min. And you can't eat relying on the supply of Page Besini. Continues the Brayso. What about dates? The last remaining dates in Soya, which was Yerichai, which also featured an abundance of dates, of palm trees. Until the last ones in Soya run out, you can eat throughout the Eretz of Yehuda. So by the way, as the Mepharshim point out, we know that Eretz Yisrael has 3 Aratzes: Yehuda, Evar, Yarden, and Gol, 3 separate provinces. And we learned yesterday that you can eat until the supplies completely run out in your specific aretz. So anywhere within your aretz, if there's still some available, you can rely on that. So apparently these towns mentioned in the Brisa, whether it's Eichel, Avel, Gush Chalav, the point is that specific aretz, that particular section of Eretz Yisrael, whether it's Yehuda, Ever, Yarden, or Golo, who had these towns in them, so you can eat throughout that aretz relying on this town. Whichever aretz had this town, you can rely on that town as the latest for eating this type of particular variety. So getting back to the dates, so you can rely on Yerichai. Rav Shimon Gamliel Omer, Oichlan al Shabein Akipin. We had this yesterday. Rashi explained the wind would shear off some of the dates. Some would end up on the branches, some on the bottom, inside the thorn surrounding the palm tree. Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, Oichlan al Shabein Akipin. You can only continue eating dates on account of the ones found between the branches, up on top, which are still accessible to the chayes. But you can't eat on account of the ones found underneath, inside the thorns, which aren't accessible. So this is the Brisa, giving us a list of towns, of locations, where you can find the last remnants of each particular min. There are Brisa, which sets a very firm timetable. It's time related, not town related. You can have grapes until Pesach. Olives until Shavuos. Now we're speaking the 8th year now. Because anything that began to grow during the 7th year, all these fruits have Kedusha Shvius. And they last generally somewhere in the middle of the 8th, until somewhere in the middle of the 8th year. So grapes are considered to be still around and present until Pesach. Bezesim, when it comes to olives, until Adat Zeres, until Shavuos. Begroigros, Adat Chanukah. Dried figs until Chanukah. Betmorim, Adat Purim. Dates until Purim. So we have a very firm timetable. It's not town and location related. V'amar Bivi, he said that Rabbi Yochanan Tarti Basraisa Machlif. He actually switched around the last 2 items in this list, which were Gregors and Tmarim. So instead of Gregors till Chanukah, he would have Gregors till Purim, and Tmarim, instead of till Purim, he had till Chanukah. But in any case, we see that we have a very specific and exact deadline regarding the shear, the time of beer. How does this work with the previous Brisa, which gave us locations to work with? Says the Gemara, actually it's the same thing. Idi chad shiru. Both things, towns and times, are the same thing. Second Brisa, as the Mepharshim explain, is working with a timetable, the Chachamim established times, firm times, which generally correspond to the availability in those towns mentioned in the earlier Brisa, and they just established it as a firm time. This way, you don't need to go ahead and check, and this way it's universal. They set a time, don't go past that to avoid confusion. Everybody's saying another pshat, Haktani behedi, because the earlier Brisa clearly said, although it provided a list of towns, but then it said, if you happen to know that there are other places where this fruit is available past those towns, then certainly you can rely on them. And that's the point of the second Brisa. The second Brisa is telling us that at most you can only rely on grapes until Pesach, olives until Atzeres. As the Chazon Ish explains, because past that, even if you know there's some produce out in the field, but it's been out there too long, it's overripe, it's spoiled, and it's not something you can rely on, it's not considered produce and crop available for the animals. So Brisa 2 is simply explaining, elaborating on that aspect. Initially you follow the towns and the crop contained therein, as mentioned in the first Brisa. But let's say you happen to know that there are some fruit sitting out there past that time, pretty late in the season. What's the latest you can go? That's the second Brisa. You can only go up until these specified times. Past that, the fruit out there is spoiled and is not considered an available crop for the animals. Tanya Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, Siman laharim milim. Let's say siman for our mountains. What's considered The hallmark of Harim, Milan. Golnut trees are generally found up in the mountains. Simila Mokim, the Kolim. What is the hallmark of valleys? Date trees. Simila Necholim, Konim. What's a simon for streams, ravines? Konim, reeds, generally are found in those areas. Simila Shvelo Shikma. A simon for the plains, the flat surface is Shikma, the sycamore trees. So we'll explain what's the purpose of this formula. Even though we don't have absolute raya to relate Shvela with Shikma, we have an indication from the pasuk Shneimar. He gave away, he regarded the money in Yerushalayim like stones, worthless, and the cedars, nasan keshikmim, asher b'shvela roiv, he regarded the sycamore trees, which are found in abundance in the Shvela. So we see that a shikma tree is generally found in the Shvela. So what benefit do we have from this formula? Explains the Gemara. Siman lahara milim. That was the first item. The siman for mountains are the golnut trees. Siman amakim tkolim. Siman for the amakim, the valleys, are date trees. Nafka mina lebikurim. We have an application concerning bikurim. This nan. Ein mevin bikurim el meshivas haminim. We only bring bikurim from the 7 minim. Rashi explains, because it says by bikurim ashatavi mi artzacha. And the pasuk elsewhere says, Eretz chita sa'ira, giving us a list of the 7 minim asher nishtabchu b'em Eretz Yisrael, which highlight the praise and quality of Eretz Yisrael. So we learn from there that bikurim, which is mi artzacha, is meant to denote, to highlight, to bring out, express the shvach of Eretz Yisrael, and is only meant to involve the shivas haminim. We also learn that even within the shivas haminim, it needs to be high quality produce. Therefore, says the Mishnah, Ein mevin bikurim el meshivas haminim. That's number 1. And number 2, it needs to be high quality. Therefore, v'lo mitkolim shebaharim. Even when you bring dates, it shouldn't be from the dates up in the mountains, which are low quality. They're meant to be found in the valleys. V'lo miperish b'amakim, nor from grains which are found out in the valleys. Rashi explains, due to the moisture there, the grain doesn't develop properly. So that was the point of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. In the mountains, you're not meant to find date trees. You find walnut trees, because palm trees up in the mountains are not high quality and not meant to be used for bikur. In the amakim, in the valleys, you find the kolim, and indeed, you do bring bikurim from dates found in the valleys. So that's the point of the first 2 elements, the harim and the amakim. What about number 3 and 4? Siman lenecholim konim. We find konim growing in the necholim, in the streams and the ravines. Nafka mina l'nachal esan. That's important for the halach of nachal esan, which is where they would do the egla rufa. Torah says you do it in a nachal esan. Well, now let's say you're not sure if it's a nachal. Is this really a ravine? Is it not? Take a look and you see the reeds growing, then you know it's a proper ravine. The 4th item was siman l'shvela shikma. Siman for the plain is a shikma tree. Nafkamina, what is the application here? For transactions. So he committed to selling him a shvela. A shvela generally should feature a shikma tree. So if it doesn't, he can back off on the deal. Not yet, you come to this point that there is a commercial application here. If that's the case, all 4 items on this list can have an afkamina for mekach hamemker. Suppose he's selling him a mountain. He needs to have milan. Selling him a emek. Has to have the kolim. A nachal, konim, and a shvela shikma. The Meiri points out, apparently we're speaking about an area where these things would naturally grow in these locations. So when he specifies, I want a mountain, that indicates I want it the way it's supposed to be, together with milan. Otherwise, he can break the deal. Continues the Mishnah. Makim shenagu limka behimadak lenachra. The Mishnah will resume the discussion regarding minhagim, as we began the perek with makim shenagu to do malach and erev Pesach. You want to follow minig hamakim. The Mishnah will give us another 2 examples of minig hamakim. Makim shenagu limka behimadak lenachrim moichin. A place where they had a minig to go ahead and sell the behimadak, the line animals which are not intended for labor, goats, sheep. they would have a minhag to sell them, not to refrain from selling it to the goyim. Fine, if that's the minhag, you follow the local minhag, meichrin, and you may sell as well. Makom shenagu, shaloi nagu limkar. However, in a place where they had a minhag not to sell even the behema daka, which had no capacity for avodah, for malacha, ein meichrin, you're also meant to refrain from selling. Ubechol makom ein meichrin lehem behema gasa. Now, on all occasions, one may not sell them a behema gasa, large, heavy animal, a ox, a donkey, which can go ahead and perform labor. Why is that? Explains Rashi, based on the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. There are three concerns with selling a behema gasa to an achri. The Gemara says, Mishum she'ela, sechirus, and nisyuni. We know that an animal that belongs to Yisrael may not do malach on Shabbos. The concern is, and he might go ahead and loan his animal to the guy, or rent his animal to the guy, she'ela and sechirus. And then the animal, which still belongs to Yisrael, if it performs malach on Shabbos, the Yisrael, the owner, is doing an isser. If a chacham forbade even selling to a guy, for it might lead him to loan and to rent. Nisyuni means if he happens to sell it to him on Erev Shabbos, close to Shabbos, and suppose the animal is not up to doing work, and he hears the voice of the Yisrael there, he might go ahead and comply and do the malacha on Shabbos as a result of listening to his, hearing his owner's voice. Now, although the animal belongs to the guy, but when Yisrael performs malacha with an animal, even if it's not his, that's a malacha mechamer. So on account of these concerns, Chacham said, don't sell an animal that has capacity to do malacha, a behema gasa, an ox, a donkey, etc. Don't even sell it to a guy. So that's the halacha. Now the minhag extended that issa further. In some places, they refrain from even selling a behema daka, goat or sheep, which won't do malacha. The reason was because on account of the behema gasa, it might lead to selling a behema gasa as well. So they extended the issa further. Some places had that minhag, and he meant to comply, and some places did not have that minhag, and they would sell behema daka to a guy. So either way, you can follow minhag hamakim. However, says the Mishnah, in all areas of b'chal makim, ein meichron lehem behema gasa. You're not meant to sell behema gasa to a guy. Agolim u'syochen. Now here's the chiddush. Even if it's a calf, agolim, calves, syochen, young donkeys, shleimen, whether animals are healthy, whole, shvuren, or even injured, and can't really do malacha. So this issur is all-encompassing, whether it's mature, young, healthy, injured. In order to create a wall-to-wall issur without any discrepancies and room for confusion. Rabbi Yehuda Mata b'shvura. He says a shvura, incapacitated animal, an injured animal, which won't do malacha in any case, as Rashi points out, he's going to take it and shecht it, it's not going to be around to create any marasa ayin, nobody will see it, it won't create confusion. There's no concern with selling that to the guy. But Meseira Mata Bersus, he says that the horse can be sold because, according to Meseira, since a horse is meant to accommodate a rider, which according to him is not a malacha, because Chayin says atzmai, a person slightly lifts himself when being carried. So it's not considered to be an ordinary load, and if a person should carry that, or in this case the animal, is going to carry a person, he's not really doing a full malacha. With the rice, it's not a malacha. Therefore he says, you can sell a horse because what's the worst thing that can happen? We're afraid that he might loan a horse, might rent a horse, and even when he carries the rider, he's not doing a malacha. So the first part of the Mishnah dealt with selling animals to a guy. Continues the Mishnah with another variation of a minhag. Makim shenagu lechal tzli b'leil Pesachim oichlem. If in this makim they had a minhag to eat roasted meat, Pesach at night, go ahead, follow the minhag. Makim shenagu sheloi lechal ein oichlem. However, in a place where they had a minhag to refrain from eating basat tzoli al leil Pesach, for concern that it might appear like you're eating a korban Pesach out of Yerushalayim. This way, they created this minhag, don't eat basat tzoli. So if that's the case, ein oichlem, you want to follow the local minhag. Continues the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Asloi le'adam sheyoymar basa zeh lePesachu. A person is not allowed to say, look, this piece of meat, even if it's already shachet, this is lePesachu. What's wrong with saying that? It appears like he's being magdish his behema, and then he's eating it outside Yerushalayim. Rashi learns the concern is that a person might misconstrue his words, think that he's trying to be magdish the value of this basar. He's going to use its value to purchase a carbon. Tosfos asked on that. Why does the Gemara say it looks like he's going to eat the kachim mechutz? If it belongs to the Beis HaMikdash, the basar was hugdash ledama for its value, then it belongs to the Beis HaMikdash. It's me'ilah. A person benefits from it. He's diverting the assets of hegdish, his own personal use. That's me'ilah. Therefore, Tosfos learns that the concern is, if a person should say basar zila pesachu, even on something which is just a piece of meat, perhaps a person might think that what he means to say is that I have already been magdish this behemoth when it was still alive. I was magdish it for a carbon. So he's simply indicating that he was already magdish it when it was mechayim, and now he's eating a carbon outside Yerushalayim. So that's a pshat according to Tosfos. Amar Papa, dafke basar. This applies strictly to meat. Ava chitiloi. But a person could say, these chitim are lepesach. Why? They're meant to lepesach amar. He's simply saying, look, these chitim should be safeguarded. Take care of it. Keep it from becoming chametz. I'd like to have it for Pesach. So there's no room for any misinterpretations. Says him a basar loy, basar you can't, that's a problem. There's a concern about confusion. Meisvei of a brayso which says like this. Amar Rabbi Yesi. Toidos ish roimi. Toidos, who was a great man in the town of Roimi, Hinegas bnei Roimi, he led the people of Rome, Lechol gdim mekulasim b'leil Pesachim. He allowed them to eat goats which were mekulas. Mekulas means a person who has his weapons nearby. So they would roast their goats for the Leil Pesach in a manner which resembled the roasting of the carbon Pesach. You have the whole body, and alongside it, its legs and its inside, so it's the entire entity. It looks like a person with his weapons nearby. That's why it was called v'mekulas. So this form of roasting resembled very closely the carbon Pesach, and he allowed them to do it. Shochalei, the Chacham sent a message to Toidos, Ilmoli Toidos, not the fact that you're such a great man. Gozreinu lachanida. We would have applied a nida cherem to you. What are you doing? Shatam machlas Yisrael kachim mechutz. You're feeding Yisrael kachim out of Beis HaMikdash. Kachim sakataitach. You really think he was giving them kachim? Why would this be kachim? Rather, this was the message. If not for the fact that you're a great man, we would have punished you because karav lahachal as Yisrael kachim mechutz. What you're doing is very similar to feeding kachim outside of Yerushalayim. Rashi says it's doimel kachim. It's so closely related to a carbon. You're not meant to do this. So that's the brayso. What do we learn from there? That there's only a concern of confusion when it's mekulas, when it looks like carbon Pesach. It's lined up, its body, its legs, mekulas in. Yeah, then there's a concern of confusion. She'en mekulas lay, but otherwise no concern. And how is this compatible with what we just said before? Even just a plain piece of meat can be confused with a carbon. Says the Gemara, Amri. So the answer is like this. It's a big difference. Mekulas, if it's in this manner, then loishna amar, loishna loyamar. Doesn't matter what he said. When he made any reference about carbon, or loishna loyamar, or he hadn't made any reference at all. That this had anything to do with carbon. They're still concerned because of its arrangement, because of the way it looks. It resembles the carbon. However, if it's not mekulas, just a plain piece of meat in front of you, which doesn't essentially resemble anything, then it's only if you say piresh in. If you expressed it, fine, it's a problem. Loy piresh but otherwise no concern. So yeah, if it looks like a carbon Pesach, it's a mekulas. Then regardless of whether you verbalize anything, it looks like a carbon Pesach, b'chutz, or just a plain piece of meat. Then don't say anything. Why would I arouse concern? But if you do say something, it could go ahead and lead to confusion. Continues the Gemara. Rav Acha masni la laho masnisa Rabbi Shimon. Rav Acha had a version a little different than ours. This brisa, which presented the incident with Toides Yishroimi, we have it as Rabbi Yossi presenting it. According to his version, it was Reb Shimon. Maskiv Rav Sheshes. How can you say that? Bishlam Ilamanda Tanila Rabbi Yossi. It works well according to the version that it was Rabbi Yossi. Nicha, that makes sense. Why? We'll see soon. Ella Lamanda Maslik Reb Shimon Minich. However, the one who presented it in the name of Shimon, how does that work? Why would it be concern? If you happen to see a Gdim Kulas on the night of Pesach, why would you think that it's a carbon? It can't be a carbon. Why? That's not. We learned in the Mishnah. Reb Shimon Poiter. Shlois Nadev Kederchem Esnadev. She explains as follows. A person should say, I'm bringing a mincha. Harei la mincha. But then he adds some words which don't really make sense. Min ha-sa'irim. I'm bringing from barley. One cannot bring a mincha from barley. Says Reb Shimon, we take everything that he said seriously, and it doesn't work. So Reb Shimon is poiter. Shleis nadev kederchem isnadim. This type of expression, this type of donation is not your typical donation. It doesn't work. So why would it be a concern if somebody happens to observe a Gdim Kulas on the night of Pesach? What could you be choishish? That he was Magdash it? The fact that it resembles a Korban Pesach indicates that he was Magdash it when it was still alive. But since he wanted to use it outside Yerushalayim, so his Hegdish went along with that stipulation. I'm doing Hegdish, but to take it outside Yerushalayim, it's not a Hegdish. And there wouldn't be any concern. This is not a carbon. So according to Reb Shimon, it would never have been a concern to begin with. That anybody should think this is a carbon Pesach. It's outside Yerushalayim. This wouldn't be a carbon regardless. And to present this story in the name of Yossi, is any better? V'amar Rava. Didn't Rava say, Reb Shimon b'shitas Rabbi Yossi Amra? What Reb Shimon says, in this classic case of Arela Mincha Min HaSo'er, it doesn't work. He's potter. It's not a proper commitment. This shita is based on Rabbi Yossi. Now Rashi explains there's a general machlokes between a mayor who says that when a person makes a self-contradictory statement, Rabbi Yossi says we follow the first part of the statement. Rabbi Yossi says no. If this is what you had in mind, then we have to take everything into account. So let's say he says, Harela mincha min ha-so'irim. According to Rabbi Yossi, if this is what he had in mind to begin with, you have to take everything seriously. But Rabbi Yossi says, look, what was his true intention? To bring a carbon, not to bring a mincha. We look beyond the surface, beyond the literal wording of his expression. Ein adam moitzi dvar levatala. A person doesn't just express words from naught. He had something in mind. He wanted to express goodwill to Hashem, to bring a carbon. So even when he expressed himself in this manner, which technically doesn't really have any validity, we still accept it somewhat. We say, bring a mincha min achita. So Shimon, who says that this fellow is potter, b'shitas Rabbi Yossi Amra, he's following Rabbi Yossi. The Amar af begemar dvarav adam nitvas. A person is committed to everything that he said, even the last portion of his statement, which perhaps contradicts the first portion of his statement. And that's what Reb Shimon says, well, you added something illegal, min ha-so'er, then there's no commitment. So that's Pshat Reb Shimon. Now the kasha is like this. Should we not assume if Reb Shimon follows Rabbi Yossi, then Rabbi Yossi follows Reb Shimon? My love, but the Reb Shimon savak Rabbi Yossi. Just as Reb Shimon holds like Rabbi Yossi, as we just explained. Likewise, Rabbi Yossi's nami savak Reb Shimon. Rabbi Yossi follows Reb Shimon as well. They're both in line with each other. And if a person does something which doesn't have, expresses himself in a manner which doesn't have validity, it doesn't work. Now, if Rabbi Yossi holds that way, then why would it be a concern with Toides Yishroimi? You see this Gdim Mikulas, Pesach at night, it resembles a Korban Pesach. Perhaps this fellow was Magdashit, but when he was Magdashit, what do you have in mind? He stipulates, I'm taking outside Yerushalayim. That's like saying, I'm bringing a mincha min ha-so'irim. Doesn't work. So everybody knows it's not a carbon. There's no room for confusion here. Says the Gemara Loi, not necessarily so. You're depending of Shimon with Rabbi Yossi both ways. No. Loi, Rabbi Shimon savak Rabbi Yossi. It's true, Rabbi Shimon has to follow Rabbi Yossi. that we take everything that this fellow said into account. So when he says, Harela mincha min hasorim, we view the whole statement as one unit. You can't split it into two. And he says, I'm bringing a mincha min hasorim, which doesn't work. So Reb Shimon certainly follows Rabbi Yossi. We take this statement in its entirety, and since it's invalid and illegal and doesn't work, he's potter. That's true. But the other way around, not necessarily. Rabbi Yossi not necessarily follows Reb Shimon, because they're really two independent points. But later Rabbi Yossi saw like Reb Shimon. He doesn't hold like Reb Shimon, meaning Rabbi Yossi says, we take everything that a person says into account. That's true. But now what? How are we meant to apply what he said? We have two schools of thought. Reb Shimon says, he said nothing. What he said is worthless, because once you take everything into account, it's non-existent. It doesn't work. Whereas Rabbi Yossi says, 1 second, this fellow didn't express himself for no reason. What did he really want? What was his true kavanah? To bring a carbon. So he's committed to bring a carbon. And likewise, when it comes to a gdim kulas, you see this goat resembling the carbon Pesach. He was magdish this thing. Perhaps with a stipulation to take it outside Yerushalayim, that's true. But no harm was caused, because we look at the intent. What did he really want to do? He wanted to bring a carbon, right? So this thing becomes a carbon. So getting back to the story with Toydis Yishmael, it works better if it's Rabbi Yossi, because then there's a concern this thing is really a carbon. But if it's Reb Shimon, then he invalidates the Hegdish. If he intended on taking it outside Yerushalayim, if that was his stipulation, then it's not a Hegdish. So seeing this Dimikulis outside Yerushalayim wouldn't pose any concern, wouldn't arouse any chashad that it was a carbon. This was Reb Sheshes challenging the Girsa that it was Reb Shimon presenting the concern. According to him, there's no concern. It's only according to Rabbi Yossi that there could be a concern. Iboilu, getting back to Toydis Yishmael. What is the definition of the word ish? For good or for bad? Toydis Yishmael. Gavar Rabba, he was a great man, Talmud Chacham, Gavar Rabba Hava, Ibale Groifen Hava. Perhaps he was a violent fellow, an intimidating fellow. Ish can go either way. I once heard from Yisrael Belsky Shita. It says in the Megillah, by Haman, Ish, right? Ish Tsar V'oyev, Haman Razeh. We find the same title given to Mordechai. How could that be? Ish Yehudi Hayish Shabira. Which way is it? Is it good or bad? So he said Ish denotes maximization, reaching potential, full potential. It can go either way. A Rasha in his wickedness, Ish Tsar V'oyev, Haman Razeh, and a Tzaddik, which is righteousness. Ish Yehudi Hayish Shabira. So everybody reaches their full potential, one way or the other. So Toydis Ish Rami, which way was it? For good or for bad? Toshma, let's bring a right. Oid Zutarash Toydis Ish Rami. So Toydis, darshan as follows. Maro Chanani Mishol V'Azariah Shemosru Atzman Akdush Hashem the Kishaneish. What was the basis of Hananiah, Mishol, V'Azariah giving themselves over, submitting themselves to Kiddush Hashem, to be thrown into the fiery Kivshan, in order to avoid bowing to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar? What was the basis of their Mesiras Nefesh? Now, Toys asks the obvious kash, what do you mean? It's Avodah Zarah. Meant to be Mesiras Nefesh. So he says, actually, it's Rabbeinu Tam. Actually, this Tzelem was not Avodah Zarah, it was just a likeness of Nebuchadnezzar himself, and it was meant to accord him honor. And they held that it was an affront to Hashem. So technically, they didn't have to be Mesiras Nefesh. It wasn't Avodah Zarah. Ri says they had a way to escape. They could have ran away before they were being forced. So, either way, what was the point? What motivated them to be Mesiras Nefesh? So Toydis Yishmael explained like this. They applied a kal v'chomer from frogs. Nosu kal v'chomer ba'atzma mitzfardim. They applied a kal v'chomer from the tzfardim in Mitzrayim. Uma tzfardim she'em mitzuvim al kedushas Hashem. Since we find that tzfardim, although they don't have a mitzvah kiddush Hashem, they were Mesiras Nefesh. Ksibu ubo v'ol v'secha v'goyim b'hadarecha b'sharisecha. Moshe Rabbeinu warned Parah, if you don't listen, the tzfardim will come up from the Nilus into your homes, your ovens, and your foods. The pasuk lists misharesecha, foods, doughs, next to the ovens. Now, when are mishares, items of food, let's say doughs, found near ovens? When the oven's hot. Apparently, they were going to jump into the ovens to fulfill the word of Hashem. Anu, us, we have a mitzvah. We're commanded to Mekadosh Hashem. Certainly, we're meant to give ourselves over to Mekadosh Hashem. So we see that Toydis Yishraim was a great man. He was a Talmud Chacham who darshan drushes. Rabbi Yosef Bar Abin Amar, he was involved in the following great mitzvah. Mata malai likis shal tamid chacham haya. He would supply capital, money, to Talmid Chachamim so they can earn some profit from it. So he supported them financially. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, mata malai likis tamid chacham. If a person engaged in this mitzvah, supporting Torah, zoicha v'yoshev b'yeshiva shel ma'ala. Even if he himself is not befitting of the yeshiva shel ma'ala. He's not a great Talmud Chacham, but due to his support of Torah, he gets the koyach, the schus, the chacham of Torah. Shenama b'kibitzel ha'chacham b'tzel ha'kesef. One who is b'tzel ha'kesef, who supports the chacham, will reside b'tzel ha'chacham, the shadow of the chacham of the chacham, the yeshiva shel ma'ala. Continues the Mishnah with another example of minig hamok. This is in reference to having a candle lit in one's bedroom on Yom Kippur evening. And the point was to prevent coming to Tashna Shamit. So there's a minhag either way. Makib shenagu lahadik esaner b'leil Yom Kippurim, madlik in a place where they had a minhag to have a ner lit in the bedroom on Yom Kippur night, then follow that minhag and be madlik. Makib shenagu shloi lahadik, a place where they would refrain from having a candle lit, then you follow the local minhag, and both really were trying to achieve the same goal, as the Gemara Rashi will explain. This only pertains to the bedroom, but otherwise, you're meant to have a ner lit and kippur for the covet of Yom Tov. Umadlikim bate knesiyas, bate medrashes, b'mvoyis ha'afelim, dark alleyways, ha'gabe cholim, near sick people. Tana, bein she'amu lahadik, ubein she'amu shloi lahadik. Both schools of thought. Those who said be maldik the ner in one's bedroom on Kippur evening, and also those who said refrain from being maldik, shnein lever echad niskavnu. They both had the same thing in mind, to achieve the same goal, albeit through different methods. Let's take a look at Rashi explains this. We have the wide lines in Rashi, so it's the third wide line. Gemara. Beish amar lahadik, oisen shenagu lahadik, and also v'anoigin shloi lahadik. Niskavnu l'dover echad. They had one thing in mind, to achieve the same result. Lafresh atzmai mishkavish. How does that? Ha'orim lahadlik. How does a candle achieve that? Mishum de'ein adam mishamash mitasi lo yaraner. It's inappropriate to do it in light. Therefore, that would prevent tashmish. Va'orim shloi lahadlik. They held the other way. Seivrim, they figured, shaner doilik. If you have light, royas ishtem misavala. Signing his wife can create a desire. So this way, keep it dark and avoid pitfall. So they're both aiming for the same result, using different methods. You know, Shraga 5 of Mendelus used to say, Eitz HaChaim b'soich HaGan. Why was the Eitz HaChaim found in the middle of Gan Eden? So you can get there from all directions. Trying to achieve the same result, but everybody has their own method of getting there. Omar B'Shur, continues the Gemara, Omar B'Shur. Dorash Rav, V'amich kulam tzadikim, lo yilu mishoretz. So the entire Klal Yisrael, kulam tzadikim, bein she'amar lahadik, bein she'amar shloi lahadik, shneim lo yiskavnu el davar echad. They both had the same thing in mind, to achieve the same goal and result, using different methods. Once we're on the topic of the candle on Yom Kippur, we will proceed discussing the bracha on a flame on Matzah Shabbos and Matzah Yom Kippur. Amar b'dam Shmuel, ein mavarach al ha'or, ella b'Matzah Shabbos. We only make a bracha on a flame during Havdalah Matzah Shabbos. Why? At that point, fire was created. Medrash says, Adam Rishon saw that's beginning to darken. And he was fearful, perhaps the world's coming to an end as a result of his Aveira. Until Hashem provided him with the rocks, and he and he scraped them against each other and created fire. So Motzei Shabbos was the point in time when fire was created, and that's when we make a bracha by Reish to thank Hashem. It's a brachas hashvach on account of the creation of fire. So only on Motzei Shabbos, because that was the time of the Bria. But not any other time, like Motzei Yom Kippur, because that wasn't a time of Bria Seish. So this elder responded to him in approval. V'itema Rabba Bar Chana, some say it was Rabba Bar Chana. Yesha, right on, this is correct. You only make a bracha on the or on Motzei Shabbos, not Motzei Yom Kippur. In fact, Rabbi Yechon said the same. Continues more with a story, which will actually reinterpret this whole discussion. Meaning, at this point, the more figures that Rabbi Yechon subscribe to the shita that you only make the bracha on the Ur on Motzei Shabbos, but not on Motzei Yom Kippur. The Gemara later will revert. No, even on Motzei Yom Kippur you'll make a bracha. True, it's not the time of the Bria of Eish, but there is some newness there. The Eish is providing a new function which wasn't there throughout Yom Kippur. You couldn't use a flame on Yom Kippur. You couldn't use it for Malacha. So there is some freshness, some newness there, which requires a bracha, brachas hashvach. That's coming up in the Gemara. So the Gemara says there was a story. Ula have a roch of chamra v'azl. Ula was riding on a camel, going along. Baba kashakil v'azl, Rabbi Abba miminai, and to his right was Rabbi Abba. V'Rabba Bar Chana small, and to his left was Rabbi Bar Chana. Amalei Rabbi Abba Ula. Rabbi Abba turned to Ula. V'adai damrisu mishmei Rabbi Yechanan. Is that so? What you say over, what you quote Rabbi Yechanan, to the fact that ein mevarchen ala ur el Motzei Shabbos, that a bracha on fire is only recited on Motzei Shabbos, because that's the time when it was created, but not on Motzei Yom Kippur. Is that correct? This quote that you relate the name of Yechanan, is that true? Now Ula listened to this question, and he figured that this information must have been garnered from Rabbi Bar Chana, who quoted Rabbi Yechanan to this effect, and he knew it to be incorrect. So he was surprised and disappointed. Hadar Ula. So Ula turned around to his left, to Rabbi Bar Chana. He didn't say anything, but he expressed disappointment. Chazabei, he expressed in his facial expression, Rabbi Bar Chana Bishus, expressed disappointment. He misquoted Rabbi Yechanan. He didn't say anything, but he expressed it with a facial expression. Now Rabbi Bar Chana picked up the cue and immediately corrected things. He says, no, it's incorrect, it's a misinterpretation. I never said that. I didn't quote Rabbi Yechanan in that context. With regards to the bracha on Motzei Yom Kippur. Of course Rabbi Yechanan holds you make a bracha on fire Motzei Yom Kippur. I was referring to a different concept. I was quoting him in a different realm. Amar lei. So Rabbi responded, Ano lav aha amri. I didn't quote Rabbi Yechanan in this context. Ela aha amri. Rather in a different context. The Tani Tanakh made Rabbi Yechanan. There was an Amar who presented this following brayso from Rabbi Yechanan as follows. Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos. Even in those towns where generally on Kippur they don't have a candle, but even there they light on account of Kavod Shabbos. So they made that exception. Now Rabbi Yechanan responded to this Talmud who presented the Shita. No, the Chacham don't allow. Even Shabbos Yom Kippur don't have an air. So Rabbi Bar Chana said, this is how I quoted Rabbi Yechanan. It had nothing to do with Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yom Kippur. I related this halacha that Rabbi Yechanan says on Yom Kippur, which happens to fall on Shabbos, there's no ner. But of course, on Motzei Yom Kippur, you make a bracha on ner. So all this he related back to Ula. Ula responded, Adot, hey, yeah, this should stand, this makes sense. This is true. I stand corrected. Currently, Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef heard about the story, how Ula turned to Rabbi Bar Chana. He merely expressed his disappointment, but didn't verbalize it. And Rabbi Bar Chana picked up the message and clarified things. Currently, Rabbi Yosef applied this pasuk on this incident, on these Amoraim. Just like deep water, the Eitzah in the heart of a person, unexpressed, remain in remaining in his heart, vish tvuni yidlena. A smart person will draw it out. How does that relate to here? My mamukim eitza b'levish. The eitza which was embedded in the heart is the ula, who had something there but he didn't express it. Vish tvuni yidlena, the ish tvuna drew it out. The Rabbi Babachana was able to draw it out and then clarify things. V'inu kaman savru. Sounds like more Ula and Rabbi who didn't want to agree to this statement presented by Rabbi Abba that supposedly you don't make a bracha on a fire on Matzah Yom Kippur. They didn't agree with that. V'inu kaman savru. Who were they following? They held that you do make a bracha on Matzah Yom Kippur. In accordance with Hushita, Ki Adam Rabbi Yamin Nefes, Rabbi Yechon, Mevarchen Alor, Beim Motzei Shabbos, Motzei Yom Kippurim. In both cases, you make a bracha. V'chein Amma Devar, and likewise the Amma, the nation, Devar follows. That's the Minig HaMakim. That's the Minig HaYisrael. You make a bracha on Matzah Yom Kippur as well, because there is some new element here. You couldn't use it the entire Yom Kippur, and now you could use it. That deserves a bracha. Meisei Vavakashma Brais, Eim Mevarchen Alor, El Motzei Shabbos. It's only once a Shabbos to make the bracha. Because that's the point of creation. That's number one. And number two, when do we make the bracha? As soon as you see the flame, right away make a bracha. You don't wait until you go do Abdul. You arrange all the brachas, the fire and the psamim, together with the kais when you make Abdullah. Rabbi Yehuda. Halach Rabbi Yehuda. Halach is like Rabbi Yehuda. And the Brisa spoke about only making the bracha on Matzah Shabbos. So we see Rabbi Yehuda holds only Matzah Shabbos is the time for a bracha on Ur. Like Kasha, the answer is depends what type of flame. Kan be'ur shesh Shabbos. You have a flame which was around him throughout Yom Kippur and wasn't used for malacha. It was Shabbos arrested for malacha. In which case, there's something new here. There's a freshness here. Matzah Yom Kippur. Can finally use the flame. That requires a bracha. Kan bur hayoytze min eitzim na'avonim. The Brisa says you only make it on Matzah Shabbos. It's bringing out a fresh new fire, extracted from the eitzim, wood and stones. That fire is brand new, and it would only require a bracha on Matzah Shabbos since it's the time of creation of fire. But this type of flame would not garner a bracha on Matzah Yom Kippur, because it wasn't something which is Shabbos. It wasn't something around throughout Yom Kippur which you had to refrain from. It doesn't have that freshness, doesn't have that appreciation. I can finally use it. It's just a brand new flame. So that only applies to Matzah Shabbos and Yom Kippur. But a Ershe Shabbos, that you make a bracha even on Matzah Yom Kippur. Continues the Gemara. Tani Chad, we learned in one brayso. Ur hayoytze min ha'etzim min ha'avanim mevarchen alav. This is brand new fire. You make a bracha. Tani Chad, we have another brayso which says Eid mevarchen alav. You don't make a bracha. Like Kasha, answer is depends when. Kan Motzei Shabbos. On Matzah Shabbos you make a bracha even on a new flame. Kan Motzei Yom Kippurim, where you only make a bracha on a flame which was around throughout Yom Kippur. Rebbe Mefazra, generally when it came to making these brachas, a fire on Samim, on Matzah Shabbos and Matzah Yom Kippur, Rebbe Mefazra, he would disperse them. As soon as he sees a fire, makes a bracha. As soon as he gets Besam, makes a bracha. He wouldn't necessarily arrange them together with the Berachas Avdallah with the Kais. Rabbi Chia Mechansam, he would bundle them together and arrange them together with the Avdallah. Even though Rebbe would disperse them, make a bracha as soon as he sees a flame, etc., he would then come around and rearrange them together with the Kais, make the brachas again together with the Avdallah, to be mitzi his family. Let's make a quick chazara of today's daf. We began discussing the halachas of beer. On the 7th year, you can go ahead and eat that produce as long as there's some available out there. The Gemara gave us several guidelines. We look at those late towns, or it's based on a firm timetable. We learned that bikurim is brought from the Shivas Haminim and only the high quality produce. The Mishnah brought us 2 minik hamakayim. We have the refraining from selling behemadaka to the guy, and we discussed refraining from eating basat soli leili Pesach. The Gemara says a person cannot point to a piece of meat and say basat zula Pesach, who perhaps creates the impression that it's a carbon being eaten outside Yerushalayim. But when it comes to chitim, there's no concern because he's simply trying to safeguard it for the Pesach consumption. We learned that Toides Yishraimi, which ended up being a Gava Rabbah, he allowed his townsfolk to eat the Gdi Mekulas. The Chacham were concerned that it might appear like a carbon Pesach. We had the Mishnah with two minhagim. Do you have a flame on in Kippur evening or not? We learned that on Matzah Shabbos you make a bracha even on a new flame, because that was a time of the bria of fire. Whereas Yom Kippur you only make on a Ner Shabbos, this flame that was around throughout Yom Kippur and couldn't have been used for malacha. So now you have that chiddush, using it for malacha, you make a bracha on that. According to one shita, the brachas are dispersed, not necessarily together with the bracha of Avdal on the Kais. According to the other shita, you put it together, and even the one who was mefazer came back and did it together in order to be mitzi the members of his household. Be well, atzlacha Rabbah.